Hey everyone, and welcome to the recap of day 16 in the Karen Reed case. And probably one of the more important days in the entire trial so far. I said that Yuri Bukaki was the most important witness because he will be the only one from the investigation. And you have the Bowden defense, which is they did a bad investigation and didn't look at all the clues. But Scotty Bello, the ME, who I actually didn't think was going to testify in this trial because they had been out hiring new experts who would say what they wanted them to say, went on cross-examination with an Alessi who I didn't. Normally, I have him in very high regards, but I didn't find he was as good as he normally is. But that really didn't matter because one thing about Scotty Bello is she sticks to what she's said before. It's not like every single witness, almost in this case, who has better memories after 2 years, who can't remember what they had for breakfast, who will change their testimony on a dime. She kept on to the most important, in my opinion, evidence for the defense. There are no injuries consistent with John O'Keefe being hit by a car. That's all I wanted from her. We spent a lot of times talking about that John O'Keefe's injuries internally that she claimed was from hypothermia. Could that have been maybe pre-consistent conditions, or could it have been that it was I think it's called the Lucas machine, the one that do the CPR for you. And that's the part where I didn't feel like Alessi really came off as good as he normally does, because normally he got everything in line. He asked the questions, he'll move on. That got way too technical, and we were watching pictures of stomach lining, and yeah, I didn't feel he really hit his flow. One of the things I like with him is that normally he'll flow, but sometimes he just gets slow and gets very technical. And I don't think it works well with a jury that you get that technical, because they don't know where you're going. You need to wrap it up in a nice little package with a beautiful bow on it. But I think he hit what he wanted to hit. That she determined that she couldn't determine how John passed away. She couldn't determine manner of death or cause of death. There was blunt force trauma to the head combined with hypothermia. And then she had to say, well, the hypothermia could actually be pre-consisting. So who knows what really happened? Brennan then tried to rehab it by using the same thing that Lally did last time, every time they had a witness that was really bad for the Commonwealth. Just go up there and say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, in 1,000 different ways. And to me, it seems desperate. But I'm not the jury. And we know from the last trial, the jury didn't care about anything. They just, yeah, F it. She probably didn't hit him, but hey, she was drunk. And that's sadly what juries can do. They can just decide that we don't want to listen to all the evidence. We'll just have our own opinion. And that's A-OK. You can fix it on appeals, but appeals are for losers. You don't want an appeal. But I really hope that we have a better jury this time, a jury that listens, because you have the lead investigator saying, we didn't look at anything. We listened to Jen McCabe, and then it must have been a car strike. Didn't really look into anything. Then you have the ME saying, I don't know what happened, but he wasn't really hit by a car. I can't believe that because there's no injuries consistent with it. And kind of funny with all the aunties now crying and say, well, What she said was she couldn't tell. No. Just admit it right now. You have believed a lie. There are no evidence Karen Read hit John O'Keefe with her car. No injury is consistent with being a pedestrian struck by a car. Was Karen Read and John O'Keefe in a bad relationship? Yeah. Doesn't make her a killer. Were they drunk? Yep. Doesn't make her a killer. You can hate Aiden Turtleboy as much as you want, but it can't change the simple fact John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car. The ME from the Commonwealth, who must have testified the same way in the grand jury, her testimony raises enough reasonable doubt this case should never have been brought. This just proves that with the grand jury system in America, you can, in fact, indict a ham sandwich. It's not justice, because you can get whatever you want through the grand jury system. Scotty Bello alone should make this case be dismissed, because there is so much reasonable doubt. When your own ME looks at the body, does the autopsy, says, can't see anything that is consistent with being hit by a car, and that is your entire case. Why, oh why, dear Bev, haven't you dismissed this case? You can't bring any evidence that she did it just by having someone say, well, she did tell me at the crime scene she did it. I don't know what's wrong with the American system, but something's wrong. I have cases where we might have a witness who doesn't want to talk, or a victim who doesn't want to talk. We will then be instructed, you can't rely only on witness testimony. You'll have to have police reports. You want to have medical exams, not exams, examinations. So you have an entire picture around it. But the funny thing in this case, all the evidence is, well, I heard her say something. There's not one professional expert who will testify it's consistent with a car, because it's kind of their job. Jen McCabe doesn't care. She'll lie her tits off if it benefits her. Bukaki and all the police officers, they did a really bad job. They should all be fired for what a bad job they did. They'll lie their tits off. But you can't change physics. You can't change the injuries. Nothing is consistent with John O'Keefe being hit by a car. I'm sorry, that's just the facts in the case. Talking about facts in the case, when we ended, there was an impromptu motions hearing sidebar, because apparently the Commonwealth has now, after the deadline, Bev very angrily gave ARCA, dropped a new report on the defense that totally changes the timeline again. And the defense says, hey, you can't do that. We've been going on with this trial. Why are you changing your timeline? And Brennan was like, well, because of the ARCA studies. No, because the reason why you change your timeline is evidence that's been there from a year ago. In the last trial, the defense was arguing about the clocks being off, and Lally said that's not true. Now you want to use it as a pivotal element to combat ARCA because you have shitty experts who can't do it on the merit alone. So now you want to change the timeline 4 weeks into your case in chief. If you need to change the timeline in the middle of your case in chief because defense experts said something, hey, buddy, you don't have a case. Where it'll go from here, there was talk about maybe delaying the trial. There was talk about what to do to remedy it. Alessi had to give Bev some information today. I think she will say, well, ARCA can only testify about their old report, and then Aperture can testify in the case in chief, but Arca can't rebut them. This is what the report is about from Arca, was to rebut Aperture, which is the company that the state brought. But Aperture cannot rebut the Arca guys then. I think that might be where she's trying to split the baby. It will be bullshit if she does. And I bet you Hank will open the door to a lot of crazy stuff, because one thing he proved with Scotty Bello is he's really, really bad at rehabilitating witnesses. He's really bad at being a prosecutor. Him having to, again, change his timeline after they changed it 3 times in the first trial shows me, and it should show Bev, there is no case. John was not hit by a car. There are no evidence suggesting that. 2, the Commonwealth is so underprepared and don't believe enough in their facts that they want to change their timeline 4 weeks after we started the trial. Bev, you should dismiss this one.